Today's a very serious message, and it's going to be a heartfelt message because I'm going to show you a clip here of a woman that escaped the Holocaust. And I want you to hear what she has to say, especially what her mother said to her. It's going to touch your heart. I'm telling you, this is deep. But two things she said really stood out to me, and I want you to listen very closely to this powerful story of hers. Take a listen.
My name is Rose Lipschitz, and I was born in Lublin, Poland in 1929. We were ordered to congregate in a small town by the name of Belzica. We slept there only one night. I remember all the five of us, my mother, my father, my older brother, and my younger brother. The next morning came a knock on the door, and they made us go out on a big marketplace. They divided us, all men and women without children, to one side, and women and children to the other side. My father was taken away to Majdanek, on trucks actually. And as they started walking us to a train station, and everybody was walking and carrying their goods, my mother was holding back until we were almost at the end. There were about 3,000 people walking that highway that day. She grabbed the few belongings that I had in my hand and threw it aside. She threw away what she had. She looked at me. I was 13 years old. She looked me straight in the face and said, "I want you to understand, they're taking us to our death. I don't believe the whole world has gone mad. There's going to be somebody somewhere that's going to help you, and you have to run." Well, being 13 and very scared, I hold on to my mother's skirt very tightly. But she pushed me off the road, forcibly pushed me off the road. She says, "That's the only chance I have of survival. If you'll survive, so will I through you." And the last guard came over to me and asked me if I'm Jewish. I had blonde hair and blue eyes, and there were a few houses up on top. He thought maybe a child came down to look what's happening. I was 13, but looked actually much younger. So when he walked over to me and asked me if I'm Jewish, I was so petrified that I kept my mouth shut. But I heard somebody yelling, I don't know who it was, "Don't you see she's a Polish girl?" And he was the last guard. I don't much remember that day. When I walked into the train station, the fear was terrific. And the fear in my eyes was giving me away. And then I noticed there was standing an older lady. Her name was Antosha. She used to be a friend of my grandmother when they were children. I knew her, she knew me. She recognized me and grabbed me by the shoulder, pushed me against the window, and said, "Be quiet, my child. Be quiet." And that's the way I drove into Lublin, met up with my aunt, and volunteered to go to Germany as a Polish laborer. The rest is history. I lived through with Polish people for the next 3 years until the liberation in 1945 by the English.
And as you see there, as everybody was being lined up, we know how it was based upon historical and witnesses of what happened during the Nazi reign and what they did to millions of people, of the Jewish people. And there's others with their war machine. And the fact that her mother told her two things, as she told her, death is awaiting us. But as she was slowly moving through that line, she was thinking about her daughter and told her to run. And she said, I don't think All of humanity is mad. Somebody, somewhere is going to take this. They're going to have a heart, is what she's saying. They're going to care somewhere. I said, boy, that's powerful. And for us, I was just thinking, we know within this world, it is chaotic more than it's ever been, especially in the United States, more than it's ever been. It seems like there's something new every day. As my auntie that raised me used to say, it's always something. And here you have people getting ready to know that they were going to be slaughtered. But she thought of her daughter. She was like, if you live, I'll live. You live, I'm live through you. And that brought me to the scripture, John 14:19, where it says, a little while longer, Jesus was saying, and the world will see me no more. But you will see me. Because I live, you live also. Oh, what some powerful words that Jesus stated to us as he knew that he was going to have to leave. But he told us, but I go to prepare a place for you. He's not just twiddling his thumbs. He knew that his death was going to give us life and that we will have life and have it more abundantly. What a good God we serve. What a good God we serve, and what a good mother. That was the sacrifice. That's the no, and whoever that person that blurted out that said that she don't even know who it was. Can't you see that she's a Polish girl or so? That they saved her life. And see, this is where what made me just think of that was when her mother said, this world has not gone all mad. And I believe it's not all mad as well. And I believe despite everything that is going on, I believe that the hate, just like that hate that was being perpetrated against this lady's family and millions of others, that the hate is that there's still, everyone's not gone mad. And I believe that there's still those that stand up for the wrongs that is being done to people. Stand up towards racism.
3811 Galvez Street. Another empty building ravaged by Katrina, but spared the wrecking ball. Because 50 years ago, history whistled through these windows.
A token break in the color line. A New Orleans girl goes to school.
Now 56, the memories flow easily for Ruby Bridges, the little girl who integrated William Frantz School, protected by a team of federal marshals.
There was lots of people outside, and they were screaming and shouting, and the police officers, but I thought it was Mardi Gras, I didn't actually know that all of that was there because of me.
Her parents were committed to challenging Jim Crow laws and made the uneasy decision of sending their child daily into the teeth of a hate-filled crowd.
There were days when they would come and they would bring a baby's coffin. And inside this baby's coffin was a black doll. And I used to have nightmares about the coffin.
We don't want the niggas going in there.
Take their children out of the newly integrated schools.
And they went into every classroom and they pulled out every child.
But the next day, one family took a stand.
Simply want the privilege of taking my child to school.
34-year-old Methodist minister Lloyd Foreman was the first to crack that school boycott. He took his 5-year-old daughter Pam and without federal protection, walked right through that same angry mob.
Why don't you move in a college quarter?
Days later, a handful of other parents followed Foreman's lead, and the protest began to fade.
Hello?
Now, for the first time in 50 years,
How are you?
Ruby and Pam reunited at Frantz School.
Daddy always called it the longest walk.
Really?
Because in my case, our own white race was against us. I mean, we had bomb threats. We had to move out of the house. It was terrible.
Why do you think your father stood his ground in face of all of that?
Because of his faith in God and his beliefs, that every child, regardless of their race, deserved a right to an education.
Is that your father?
Yeah, that's Daddy.
Reliving their separate but equally painful memories. Pam's father died in 2005.
It makes me wonder.
I know, huh?
The two former schoolmates say times have changed, but the issue remains.
That old footage. Many of you, some of you are old enough to probably witness that when it was happening on the news during your time growing up. That was happening, where they didn't want the integration within the school systems, and you had people fighting like heck. Don't make it happen. But that preacher, I don't know anything about his church. I would need to do some more history about him. But one thing he did that particular time, he did the right thing. And them women were mad. And you see her, I got a Bible right here. And she gonna say, I don't see no, Negroes, or, the other words she used in here and all of this, the hate. And then for the little girl, where they put when she was a little girl and they had the black baby in the casket like that. This was the hate. But you know what? There were still some good people because the entire world had not gone mad. I believe that we still have some good churches out there that is not caught up in Christian nationalism, not teaching heresy, not taking advantage of social media in such a way where they can just lie and twist the scriptures and because they know that it's all about money, power, and fame. There's still some good people out there. I believe that. Not everybody's gone mad like the lady said. I believe that not everybody is out here as believers or gullible and falling for the false teachers that we talk about. I believe that we have people that are doing their diligence and studying to show thyself approved, doing their homework and trying to get a clear understanding of scriptures and checking out the ones that have told you they're an apostle, prophet, watchman, or whatever they call themselves, and put it up against the scriptures and check them and understand that that you have to do the right thing no matter how good they sound, no matter how good they're telling you all of the things you want to hear. If it goes against the scriptures, you've got to walk away. You've got to run. Just like that young girl did. She ran her tail off and was able to live through that. And unfortunately, her parents, everybody's was gone. I don't know the rest of it, but they got on that. Most people that got on that was gone. As I close this video out, I had the fortunate, I love history. And that's why I try to show you guys clips of things like this to incorporate it into the message. I took 3 years of German when I was 1 in middle school and 2 in high school. And in high school, my German teacher, her parents was led off to the gas chamber. And it was such an honor to be taught from somebody that was there in Germany during that time and have a teacher that was there and have the first, it was an honor. And I'm just to be able to hear stories and understand the tragedies and the things that people have went through. And the modern church right now and the things that is going on in this so-called false attack, because we talked about this false attack that they claim is happening against Christianity, to where as I mentioned, nobody I've yet to see on the news or anywhere in America that people were being lined up in such a way that you saw during the Holocaust, during the times when the Germans were just with all of the slaughter and everything was out of control. Nobody, I have yet to see that you may have some individual vigilantes of certain incidences here and there, but nobody's been dragged out of their house. Nobody's been locked up and thrown off to a gulag somewhere with a harsh sentence to hard labor, 15, 20, 25 years, as somebody as a Putin would do, and throw somebody and disappear, and you never hear from them again because of Christianity. So give me a break with pushing that false narrative that there's this great attack. And by the way, before Jesus left, he told us what was going to go on after he leaves, and then the persecution and all of the troubles. And the scripture tells us that we would have trouble in this world. So what do you think? You know, some people just want to you just want it rosy. How are you going to build character? A lot of us, that's the whole point of going through trials, because the trials that we go through in our Christian walk is building character. We're building character. So a lot of times we think we're tougher than what we really are. And the Lord has to show us you ain't as tough as you think you are. You're not as strong in this particular area that you think you are. We've got some work to do. And your patience may be tested. Various things will be tested, but it's all for his glory, because our job is to glorify him, and we must allow him to do the work within our lives. And we cannot be around pushing hate. We can't be around not liking other people because of what they believe or how they act, and understand that there's a lost people out here that we are expected to evangelize. And how are we going to evangelize if we have attitudes, as you saw with the woman with the Bible and the woman that she's sitting up there talking crazy? And because there's people, all these types of people back then and even now. Oh, they were running the church. They go to church on Sundays. The Klan went to church every single week. All of the slave owners went to church. Everybody went to church. Confederate generals, they all went to church. But we know where their hearts were. And so we need to make sure that we are operating in the fruits of the Spirit and in the way that the Lord has commanded us to love one another. Because that's one of the biggest things that, for some reason or another, this nation and around the world, love is still, you think it's right there, and a lot of times then it gets pulled right out from up underneath you. Whether it's you thought that church was loving and the pastor and everybody loved you and took care, they cared about their parishioners. And nope, pull the rug out from underneath you. You find out it was all about using people and taking advantage of people. And that goes for whether it's somebody that you thought that was going to lead to marriage, and they pulled the rug out from up underneath you. Or somebody while you are married, and they did that. We can go on and on. Even your own child. You sat there and did everything you could for that child. And just like that mother did everything. She sacrificed and told her, you got to go, because I'm getting ready to lose my life. It's over for me and things. And you've done that for your child. And they damned you, and they've cussed you, and they've betrayed you in every single way. And so this love, it eludes a lot of us. But one thing we know, that Jesus loved us, that God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. So we will see him again. And guess what? Bye-bye. Checking up out of here. We're leaving this place. We ain't got to worry about all of the troubles on this earth. We won't have to worry about the false teachings anymore. We won't have to worry about people hating us. We won't have to worry about, where I'm going to get that money to pay my bills. We won't have to worry about, I don't know what I'm going to do about my health. I'm tired. And, I was telling my wife about that, there's just some people are tired with the health, and they want to give up. They don't want to go through the treatments of stuff no more. I have an old friend where his wife, her cancer had came back at the age of 36, breast cancer, for the second time. And you know what? She didn't want to go through it. I couldn't understand it at that time. I just couldn't understand because she had some daughters. She didn't want to fight the battle no more. She was ready to go home. And I mean, it's like that for some people. We can't understand, and unless you're in a person's shoes, sometimes it's best to be quiet. It's just best to be quiet, pray, and silence is golden sometimes. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this particular message. I thought it was particularly powerful what her mother had told her. I think it's a lesson for all of us that we just need to, our eyes need to be open. We need to stay vigilant. We must be sober and vigilant because we know the adversary, the devil, is running around like a roaring lion, seeking whom who he wants to devour. And we don't want to be devoured and chewed up and spit out. And that's what's happening when a whole lot of people that are caught up with this mass hysteria of false teachings that are running rampant within churches and on social media. And on this channel, we're going to continue to call this kind of stuff out. We're going to continue to talk about the issues the church run away from, tackle Satan and his tactics, punch him right between the chops. Evangelism for God is the channel. My name is Maurice Braxton. Until the next video, my friends, take care. God bless.